Beat everything. Don't know what opponent's on. I would rather have a more proactive 7. Or proactive 7 with lands. Esper Blink. Trying to decide on informing this Thoughtseize or not. Oculus. Part of me wants to just take the Oculus. Threat density a little low. Well, you've got the 4 Bauble, 4 Wraith. All is just redraws towards the threats. You got 4 Shadow, 4 Frog, 3 Tameo, 2 Subtlety, and a Murktide. So we're at like 14 creatures, not counting the Wraiths. Threat density is relatively fine. Speaking of threat density, was in fact a mold of 5. Which I wouldn't like fault anybody for keeping the 5 that we threw away. It wasn't awful. I just didn't like that it wasn't proactive in the blind. And then the 6 was just a no lander. So oh. Oculus to the bin. Yeah. They're gonna have an Oculus next turn regardless. I'm just gonna hit in for 3 and pass. Have fatal push for this Oculus. Cycling a pest control instead of casting it. Hidden unearth, so no, they still have another Oculus in hand. Probably a counter spell. ED. Shuffling away this frog because I know they have a spell snare in hand. Yeah. Well, that's not good for us. Not good for us at all. Their Oculus. This means that I'm probably going to have to attack him with the Tameo, crack the clue before blocks, and just try to rip a way to deal with the Oculus. Like hit exactly a fatal push off the top. All right. Let's not mull to 5. Throwing some ideas out there. Possibilities. Got Kaito. We've got Trespasser. It's also a matchup where like Tameo is really, really good. It. I think I'm gonna trim a shadow. It looks a little awkward into just a whole bunch of Oculus manifests. Seven. Huh. Well then. Can't take catcher modes because they just unearth it and I have no way of actually getting it off the field. Psychic Frog, they just unearth it and I kind of lose my tempo advantage. Keeps a card on top. Could be like third land. Or themselves go for the high roll on Earth, or did they keep a fatal push on top? I feel like I've been flooding out bad today. Like on average. Your draw step. Go for the end of turn fatal push. Out of the surveil land, so I'm not open to like force a negation on my turn. Find thoughts. Good. Alt Kaito. I want this extra draw off of the frog, so I'm gonna allow it to stick around. Pick it up after damage. We'll take a fatal push and we'll go ahead and throw down Shadow. Carry on. Feel pretty happy if they just like spend this turn going for a catcher Mose. Push. Discard the catcher most. So I'm assuming they've got an unearth. If they've got an unearth, they want to exile some stuff to the frog, like now. Pandas, what's up? Want this catcher most to be live if you unearth it. While they're still discarding. They want to make sure that they exile enough to get the catcher most online. Quite gonna be good enough. I appreciate them playing to their outs. Nine. Kaito. Top. Play Tamio. Cycle the Wraith to flip the Tamio because we had draw for turn. Kaito 0 plus Wraith. Pick up Tamio and play a Murktide. Get countered by a Stern Scolding or Spell Snare. That was a pretty good turn. They're not all gonna be like that, but that one was pretty solid. I just tell you, I hate the MTG card Urza's Saga. I keep spiking top 8s to Saga decks, and my RCQs can't get quelled. Urza's Saga is a menace of a Magic card. Absolutely. Your frustration is duly noted. Like less shadows and a few more lands. Counterspell, Psychic Frog, Thought Scour, Cling to Dust. Frog. Thought sees away. All right, show me a land. Fetch land. Fetch land. Your hand is Cling to Dust, Thought Scour, Counterspell, Hallowed Fountain. Fetch land. Fetch land. Thank you. Start with attacking in with our Tameo, see if opponent wants to do anything. I'm going to go off of the assumption that they don't have Orcish Bowmaster in their deck. That would suck. Pest control would suck too, but at the moment they don't have it. And if they end up finding it, then at least I have like a backup shadow. Passing through looks like no pest control to me. Or they're just checking for force. Mio hath been pushed. Ace. I would like to put some damage on this stack. Carry on. Like, playground pest control, by not putting threats on the battlefield, plays more into spot removal. So, pretty good chance they're going to have something. Odds are higher that they're going to have 1-for-1 spot removal than pest control. The opponent got a little action light that game 3. What do you think of GDS? Same thing that I've thought of Grixis Shadow's current iterations since Modern Horizons 2 dropped. Just like cut Shadow from your deck and make it better. Who needs shadows when you can just play more good cards and not go down to 10? Back-to-back frog. You keep on top. Literally back-to-back mirrors. Hmm. We got a Thoughtseize coming off the top. Figure I might be able to get Shadow down and like force the pest control, but it's something at least. Okay. That also looks a lot better. Hot take, Cecil over Tamio over Nethergoyf over Shadow is 1 mana threat. I would say Tamio over Nethergoyf over Shadow over Cecil. A bit of a reordering there. Gonna jam out this Shadow too. If they hit a land and they want to go for an Oculus, then I've got Counterspell. If they want to go for Pest Control, I probably just let it resolve. Do I let it resolve? Maybe I don't. Seven, 8 coming in next turn. I actually am going to counter this. My Shadow. Didn't think it was going to get the concession, but we'll take it. Also glad to see this opponent playing Graveyard Trespasser in the main. Monks. Just saying. I don't like the tension with Frog. Often I had to shrink it to draw cards with a flying Frog, and Goyf was pretty useless. Saying Goyf is useless is a bit harsh. I think that like Goyf, when you're not going crazy on your graveyard, is fine. But if you get to a point where like you have to fly Frog every turn, then yeah, Goyf was probably bad anyway because they just have blockers, right? Yeah, I missed some follows. Artist Sorial and Purple Freedom Ninja. Thank you all so much for the follows. Hope you're having awesome afternoons. Petramos. Do I just have to take that because I'm not beating it? Hope you don't rip the unearth. I don't really want to take Thoughtseize. Because if they hit the land, they just like counterspell my Thoughtseize, and then they might have third land hardcast Ketramos. And I don't really want to take counterspell because then they just Thoughtseize my Thoughtseize, and I'm not taking Ketramos anyway. So with all that being said, it makes a lot of sense to just take the thing that's going to end my existence. Well then, I will say this has been a fun league for Kaitos. Kaito enjoyers everywhere. Oink. Kaito! I'm gonna restart Moto real quick. It's getting a little on the laggy end. Kaito, ninjutsuing we go. On to match numero trace. Two wins over Oculus is pretty dope. Typically, the Magic hierarchy is kind of if your opponent is doing something similar to what you're doing, but with more haymakers, they usually have the advantage. Sometimes the MTG gods of 2016 are on your side. Sometimes they smile upon you. Basic swamp. Ah, I hate you so much. Perfectly acceptable hands just ruined by the swamp. I don't think I can keep this without a cantrip. Or I can. I know my luck with one landers, and they're fairly non-existent. Also, I appreciate opponents showing me these pre-game devourers, because now I get to know what I'm digging for. Work out for the opponent. They always work out, just not for you. Oh. All right, so if I had kept the one lander, I promise you I wouldn't have hit multiple lands off the top. Fairly certain on that one. Wrong tab. Talisman of Resilience. My go-to genre for music. I don't know if I'd say I really have like a go-to. Usually, I'd probably say like a solid 90% of my music listening experience just comes from like turning on one of the daily mixes or whatever on Spotify and just letting it go. And more often than not, those just kind of like devolve into whatever. I want a Murktide. I don't think it's a good time for it. If we can find a Force of Negation. Even if I play out the frog here, they do just have another Devourer to hard cast. Land kind of gets me. What's your secret to being so handsome, smart, and sociable at the same time? Clearly making burner accounts that call me handsome, smart, and sociable. Every time. Bad. I'm gonna bring in a Kaito. Either Kaito or Trespasser, and I think Kaito does a little bit more. I just need like a good Tamio start, or a Frog, or a Shadow, or a Harbinger. Kevin Durant of Magic. How to feel about that. Like, I love Kevin Durant. No question there. Being called the Kevin Durant of anything feels like, oh, you're like 7th best. You're up there, but you're not on the Mount Rushmore. You're solidly in the running for the next grouping. Like nobody in the history of basketball, I think, has ever started their like all-time starting five with Kevin Durant in the lineup. Shame. Arguably top five all time. Or LeBron over Kobe, over MJ, over Kareem, over Wilt, over that. So bad. Opponents on a mulligan to at least 6. They're thinking about that 6 pretty good. Like triple dismember. It's pretty wild. Gonna bin a shadow because I'm gonna be getting basic swamp off for the Harbinger next turn anyway. So shadow's not really getting cast. I take KD against anybody one-on-one, I think that alone should have him there. But it's not a one-on-one game. Like, one-on-one doesn't really matter. I'm gonna save Street Wraith for next turn so that I can attack and flip Tameo. Like I agree Kevin Durant is a phenom when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. Dude's led the league in scoring more times than I can count. Gonna name Tameo. Sign. Not activate the abilities of consign to memory. Start attacking. Wraith first, see if we hit anything that's cheaper than cracking a clue. Now, am I holding up Sink into Stupor, or am I just playing out like a Frog or a Murktide? I like just playing out Frog. Got Tron online. Draw. Okay, so cool interaction here if you don't know it. Murktide, you can play out Murktide and like leave Thoughtseize, Tameo minus on the Thoughtseize and grow the Murktide off the trigger. And I think I'm going to here. I think I'm going to prioritize like getting the game over as opposed to Tameo ult. But this getting back Thoughtseize triggers the Murktide to grow. Carry on. All right, so Thoughtseize into Harbinger, good enough. Think I'm changing anything up. KD is a unicorn of talent, but he isn't the competitor that some of the other top players are. I think KD's a really good competitor. I just don't think he's like the all-around presence you need to drag a team to like the finals or even to the. I think KD can drag you to the playoffs. I don't think KD can drag you to a conference championship. And I think that's a big distinguishing factor. I mean, it's a combination of like mentality, defensive ability. I'll absolutely put KD down as like a top 5 scorer of all time, pure scorer, probably top 3. I'm just throwing back Shadow. Is High Noon a good card to bring in against Titan for Esper Oculus? I think it depends on how concerned you are about combo. Like against Aftermath Analyst comboing off. Typically I don't bring in High Noon against Amulet. I don't think it's just like awful, but it's not doing anything against like shifting woodlands or them just casting a haymaker every turn. And unfortunately, like them casting a haymaker every turn beats you if you bring in High Noon, because that's one less card that can stop a haymaker. I think I'm going to try to counterspell something this turn and then like cameo flip next turn. Member. Counterspelling a talisman here because my game plan involves Harbinger. Talisman giving them colorless mana in the face of Harbinger is not something I would particularly care for. Cool. Do it. Don't you dare have like a fucking Veil of Summer. I will flip. I will flip. Two, three, four, five for Eldrazi. I probably am letting a talisman go now. Kind of rather crack this clue. Definitely not letting that one go, though. All right, well, that's a flip Tameo. See if it does anything. Do that and flip it next turn. I think I'm going to flip it now so I can rebuy Consign potentially next turn. All right. Chalice and nothing. So I am rebuying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They don't have enough for any of the big Eldrazi this turn. I could rebuy Counterspell. I think I'm just still rebuying Consign though. Play out Frog. Go. Like, I know they have Chalice, but I like Consign in case I need to counter, like, a Chalice trigger. Yeah, you can Consign a Chalice trigger. But obviously you have to like replicate the Consign on the trigger so that the first copy doesn't get countered. They hit a Kozilek's command. This. While we play out our Harbinger. They go. Pack in first, and then we'll decide on if we're giving up the Tameo. Way, because I know they can't Kozilek's command here. I'm gonna give up the Tameo just to get back Consign again. I've got lethal with the Frog plus Harbinger next turn with double discard and a counter spell up. So all I need to do is get back something to make sure I don't die this turn. Gonna throw away the Consign instead of the counter spell here because I can counter spell like a removal spell or something like that, and the only instant speed colorless thing they could have would be like Kozilek's command that they can't counter it or cast anyway. So Og. Hope he thought Chalice was asymmetrical. I know I've told the story on stream before, but it's been a while. I remember going to like an SCG event, and I was kind of like walking around looking at some matches of, I think it was like a 10K on Sunday or something. And I'm walking around looking at games, and I see this Infect player playing against Scapeshift. And the Scapeshift player has got a Chalice on one out, and the Infect player, I think, has got like a Noble Hierarch, but then like a Glistener Elf stuck in hand, not really doing anything. And I'm like standing at the end of the table, just kind of watching over, and the Infect player's like sighing because his hand is just Blossoming Defense, Might of Old Kroza, Groundswell, something like that, and can't play out any of his threats. And finally his opponent gets down to like 12 life or so, and his opponent's like whiffing on draw steps, and Infect player draws for turn, and it was like a Become Immense, and he just goes like sigh, and then plays a land for turn, goes to cast a Might of Old Croza on his noble hierarch. And this Scapeshift player just kind of like looks for a second. The chalice is sitting right there on one. He like looks for a second and goes, yeah. And the infect player like looks up at me and then like looks back down at his opponent and goes, groundswell? Shapeshift player just like looks at the board. Yeah. Blossoming defense. And he like keeps glancing at me and like looking back at his opponent. Yeah. Become immense. Yeah, you got it. What? It's like, come again. Pretty great to watch. Just like he was looking up at me just to be like, is this happening? Is this real? I don't know what to tell you. Overlord, get back Ketramos or Psychic Frog or Emperor. Get Ketramos. To make this really funny. I said no. I said not today. Bruh! Oh! Oh! Game. All right, so I could flip Tamio. I'd rather just play out Frog Shadow. Call an ambulance. Having your opponent rip double Overlord off the top. Put a card on top. What do we think that is? You were opponent. What would you put on top in this situation? All right, well, at the moment, this Boggart Trawler is not turning on Ketchermos. That might just be a little bit of my saving grace here. Cameo is flipped. Like, this just isn't getting better for me if I don't go all in on shadows and stuff, right? I want to... Oh, they can Boggart Trawler themselves. You have like a Wrath the Skies. There's about to be legitimate tears if this is a Wrath the Skies. Yep. Target. They are targeting me. Means Ketchermos is not online at the moment. This does not trigger Ketchermos, but it does. No, it does trigger Ketchermos. They can't really attack. Oh, gold border cards weren't allowed in tournament play. Dude, get out of here. Get all the way out of here. Just solitude off of solitude. Rip Overlord into prismatic ending into solitude. Like, what am I supposed to do into that? Else I would love to know. Solitude. And is this game doing right now? Prismatic ending. The opening hand was like 5 lands, Ketchermos, and Boggart Trawler. This is the most plot armor bullshit I have ever been a part of in my life. What the ever living fuck? What is this? Jesus. I am glad that I've got that on stream. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm glad there were witnesses to this. Because that was some fuck shittery. Everything that just occurred that game. is a whole new level of bullshit. Dude, that dude drew like the gas station, the underground pump, and all of fucking Saudi Arabia. God bless. Triple, double prismatic ending, fatal push, double solitude, triple overlord of the Bale Merc. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but bulk of it. Am I gonna be the overly greedy person that takes the witch enchanter here? Are we just taking overlord like we're supposed to? We're gonna be greedy. If opponent gets to be greedy, I get to be greedy. Land on top. Probably like a solid. Nope, they did have the land. Alt sees Murktide here. Okay. What's the thing I least want to see, and why is it whatever's on top? Solitude off the top. Solitude off the top. Calling it. No way you didn't hit it. You're a liar. A liar of the highest order. Don't believe you. Zero chance you didn't hit that solitude. Don't want them resetting my Murktide. Okay. Ha 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 ha. Justice. Justice. Now we've tapped into the oil line. Dude, all I did was get the blueprints to put up a Texaco station. I ain't got shit yet. Risky. 10's not great into a turn 2 overlord. This is second Shadow League. Well, we played the Grixis League first, and now this is the Dimir League. First blue-black, though. All right, we're going to go for the Thoughtseize here in case of Overlord. Have... Do we just hit their MDFC back? Thoughtseize. Guess we go. I really want to cycle Street Wraith, so if I hit a land, I can Fatal Push the Overlord, Tameo, cycle another Wraith, and they either let me have to have a flip Tameo or give up 2 cards. The downside is if I do this and don't hit a land, then I can't have flip Tameo next turn. But it would have been such a great sequence to have Fatal Push, flip Tameo there. Burn, baby, burn, ba-da, ba-da, burn, baby. Okay. Wanted to see if they want to go after this Tameo or not. Okay. Kept something on top. How important is it? Thelia. Thelia is my guess. Or removal spell. What are we dotting about? Nothing. I don't think I am returning this Graveyard Glutton. Especially since it represents turn, possibly. Value Solitude. Okay. Carry on. I still have lethal next turn with attack, exile my 2 street wraiths, which is kind of funny. Okay. Do anything when it comes back in. Oh, shit. I should have just consigned the Flicker Wisp trigger. Bad. Should have just exiled or kept the Solitude exiled. That was a punt. That was a punt. Land. We got a Kaito tick up. There a world where they Solitude attack my Kaito here? I untap, Kaito swing in, ninjutsu this Kaito for a new Kaito. Just to reset the loyalty and start going on like stun down mode. That's gotta be pretty good. Alright. Yeah, we're definitely doing that. So loop established. I should have thought seized first. Yeah. Like I should have made an emblem. I should have thought seized. Just all around bad, 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 bad. Well. Bad of a sequence as I could have done. Getting severely punished for mishaps. Go after my Tameo. The Ketchermos. Okay, so we stun one, Kaito stun the other. Yeah. Here. Kaito. I heading to Orlando? I don't think so. I don't believe I am. Okay. Thought sees you. Head card. Now we don't need an emblem because they're not dead anyway. Just attack in with Kaito. Hero. Sure, here's a shadow. Land, go. Stunned. Expect. GG's. Despite that game one. All right, let's get a trophy prediction in here. Trophy prediction is live. Do you think we're gonna get the trophy this league, or nah, Mike's a scrub? Get your votes in. Can't it be both? It can always be both. I just don't think I have channel points set up for votes. So Twitch says you gotta do one. You won the Blink game? Yes, and I have no idea how. Or won the match. Did not win that game one. That game one was disgusting. But from the trials and errors of the Demir community, we've discovered that Kaito is about the only way that you can solo the Orzhov matchup. The way you win this trophy with how you're playing? Fair. Fair, fair, fair. I gotta try to put up a Demir Shadow trophy so that, like, Dingo doesn't pull too far ahead in the Shadow rankings. %75% of y'all are saying yes right now. What's wrong with you? Earth, would you think this has gotten a trophy? Looking for our next opponent. See what we find. Getting a great matchup, that's why. What would I think Storm would be like our best matchup. Storm, Amulet. Mono red 7 drops. Mono red 7 drop sorceries is pretty good. I don't really know what that includes, but I'm assuming it's a good matchup. A red Umori sorceries. Play against Yogg. Put that bad juju on me. Out here trying to entertain the masses. You're gonna throw Yawgmoth at me? They're running the behind the scenes algorithm right now to see what my worst matchup is so they can find it. Like, what does this deck typically lose to? Mono white martyr proc. Here you go. Affinity's pretty rough, yeah. Another frog match. Is this a shadow mirror? Please show me a death shadow on top. Counter spell. Spell. Okay, it's Grixis shadow. It is the shadow mirror. I'm assuming it could still technically be like some weird off-brand Grixis wizards with bauble, but pretty confident this is going to be the shadow mirror. Right now. We've played Shadow multiple times today. That's wild. Actually, factually wild. Team Nemesis. Definitely away frog, yeah, because I needed lands. I didn't need frogs. People really think that Shadow's viable archetype right now? Well, I'd be willing to bet most of the people playing Grixis Shadow are like saw Dingo do well with it and decided to give it a shot. Now I would like to find a threat. Got that GDS plot armor. Truth. Please cast this Wraith. I'm trying. We're gonna make you use it. Use your mana. Hit part of your yard. Kind of had the feeling they had the bolt, but on. Let me play the bigger. Oh, baby. I cannot tell you how long it has been since I've gotten to do this. They got rid of all their instants, so I'm not blocking this. What are you watching? Peak gameplay. That's what. The peakest of Magic gameplay. God, it was a stubborn denial. Oh wait, I can pay. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot that Goif was a 4 or 5, not bigger. Street Wraith walked so that Death Shadow could fly. Put some respect on his name. Put some respect on his name. Great. Unfortunately, I have to trim at least a couple of them. We're not trimming all of them, but some small inkling. Swamp walk better than flying. Confirmed. Confirmed. Opponent mulligans. Man, I kind of want to keep. That's a little bit better, I guess. Trimming Wraith after it went the distance is blasphemy. Trimming Wraith because it's not the greatest in the matchup is not. Got it. And it's kind of balling if I find some lands. Sees the Wraith out of rage. Got a street Wraith? Can't beat that. No, no. Opponent. Opponent. Oh. Having a good time. Going well. Means we're becoming friends. So I'm upset at them for cracking the Mishra's Bauble on their own main phase. There's like no benefit to it whatsoever. And all it does is draw the card into me, potentially like top decking hand disruption. There's just no point. Don't do it. Can't do anything with the card because you're tapped out. Not running forces. Hitting land is nice. They don't know that I've top decked a counter spell. Might play into that. I counter spell this. Want more threats popping up on board. Oh, if they had Cecil to bait and like a frog here. Rough. That. This Street Wraith is admitting defeat. We'll see how this ends up. Why this dude doesn't have Death Touch, I'll never know. He deserves Death Touch. All right. Do I have any lines to victory here? I could attack, exile their fatal push, take them off delirium. And shrink the Nethergoyf. I think that's my play. I attack, take them off delirium, shrink the Nethergoyf. And if they don't block, I ninjutsu and Kaito stun down the Nethergoyf. Or do I Street Wraith looking for an engineered explosives? Well, I only surveil first if I decide I want to look for an EE. I could also hit Nihil Spellbomb, but then I would be dead. Option number one, exiling the artifact over the instant. They only have one instant, so exiling that takes them off delirium and shrinks the Nethergoyf. Exiling an artifact does nothing. Nethergoyf stays at 4 or 5 and they keep delirium. That does like actual factual nothing. If I attack first, exile the push, shrink the channels, or they can just block with the channeler and give themselves delirium again. So I have to go after spell bomb or E here. I think it's my only out. That's gonna feel awful. So we attack in. I'll push. You go for the block. Wanted to see if maybe I could get the juke, like maybe they were afraid of second removal spell and didn't want to attack. But reason for them not to attack. Harbinger seems pretty good against them if I can hit the third land drop. Lots of one-landers getting kept. Well, that's the joy in a 4 Street Wraith, 4 Bauble, 3 Preordained deck. I would prefer it not be the case, but always do much about it. You have like a lot of looks at the second land or third land or whatever amount of lands. Point in case. I don't get the main phase cracking. I don't think there's much to get. I think they're just Just doing it because they think they're supposed to. Not really having like a reason for it. See what's on top. Or am I cracking this? I might just crack this. Because if I get to go hit the Nethergoyf, untap, exile it with Graveyard Trespasser. That seems pretty good for the home team. We go 2-3 with Grixis. We did. 2-3 indeed. Am I trading a Graveyard Trespasser for a Cecil? I think I am, but I think I'm doing it off of them attacking, not off me attacking. Well, I know they take 2, but they can just choose not to block and keep the Cecil around. That's not the greatest for me at the moment. So I think I'd rather make them attack in, get to block, kill the Cecil. Does Death Touch kill Kaito attacking? Yeah. Kaito is a creature when it's attacking or when it's on your turn. Okay. Interesting spot here. I can subtlety the Nethergoyf. And I'm protected from stubborn denial because I have the 5th land on top. Put Nethergoyf on top. So am I just... feel like I have to stun the Cecil. I have trouble into the Nethergoyf. If I tick up Kaito and pass, I feel like there's got to be a good chance that they just have a spot removal spell. Because I haven't given them anything to use one on. But they would have just cast a bolt. They could have a fatal push. I really think this is getting better for me if I try to play around a removal spell. Guess I can like see if this resolves. Like my worst case scenario is just they have removal spell for Tamio, untap, kill Kaito, which I feel is reasonably likely. EE on one. EE on one. That somehow dodges stubborn denial. That's interesting. Get to check and see if opponent knows their shadow math. Channeler has to attack, and I assume Channeler's attacking at Kaito. Attacking Cecil at me. I'm just going ahead and shuffling whatever's on top away. Go to 7 though, or I'm dead. Up to 3 surveils. Doesn't it feel weird to only have 1? Not in shadow. You don't want a bunch of tap lands in shadow. All right. Trophy goes down in flames. We were close. Close, but no cigar. So the non-believers unfortunately went out. Deck was fairly fun. You do have to remember with a lot of this like Death Shadow discussion, a lot of it just comes down to how you're playing the deck. So like, I don't like jumping on the argument of one list being better or worse or anything like that, because different decisions are being made at different points of the game. There's not really a cut and dry. I do still think I like Tamiyo more than Dragon's Rage Channeler. I think that we bought back a lot of really good spells over the course of that league. I think that Nethergoyf could have made a contribution, but I almost feel like I'd rather just have another Murktide. Not probably over like a subtlety. Can you explain why you didn't plus Kaito and attack last turn? Would it make Cecil ineffective? The turn that they chump blocked with Channeler, or the turn before where if I ticked up Kaito and attacked, they just bounce Nethergoyf off of it. So it doesn't accomplish anything. I think the subtleties... I want the subtleties to be better, and they're probably okay. Kaito wasn't a 5/6. Kaito was a 3/4. Goyf was a 4/5. See. Current one. Give the current. I'll go double check it, but I'm like 95% sure Goyf was a 4/5, Kaito was a 3/4. If I ticked it up, it'd be a 4/5, and they would have just bounced off each other. So it made me forget what I was doing there. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, calling it into the stream because I've got to go grab dinner, but we're gonna send everybody over to Patrick, who's playing some Amulet Titan. So if you're a fan of that deck, feel free to stick around, share some love from the chat. As always, a couple links in chat to the Twitter, Blue Sky if you're not a Twitter fan, the YouTube, and last but not least, the Discord. If you're not in the Control Freak Discord, love to have you over there. Great place. A ton of awesome people hanging out, chatting, all things Dimir, and a lot of standard discussion going on right now, surprisingly. But as always, thank you all so much for coming and hanging out. Really appreciate all the new and returning subscribers, new followers, everybody hanging out in chat. Greatly appreciate it. Makes coming and streaming pretty fun, pretty awesome. But if you want to check out more Oculus Frog action, we're getting more in a rhythm of being live Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 1 p.m. Central Standard Time to whenever we get through like 2-3 leagues, depending on how the time goes. So if that's up your alley, then drop a follow, come hang out again. Would love to see you. Other than that, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe, enjoy some good food and company. I'll catch y'all back live tomorrow. Adios for now.